Hey, all, it's Tom again. Tom again. Now, what I'm gonna talk about here is I've seen a lot of videos where guys carry knives for defense. Part one. Part two of this conversation is going to be another subject. Now, I've been carrying knives all my life. I've been in places that were so dangerous most people wouldn't walk. Panamanian jungle, El Salvador, Nicaragua, um, Costa Rica, the Amazon basin. Not Costa Rica, the other places. Deepest, darkest North Carolina, South Carolina, Wyoming, Idaho, you name it. I've been in a lot of places. A lot of them places we got dropped in the dark. So, they talk about carrying knives for defense. If you're a trained knifer, viably could carry one. We had multiple teachers, multiple knife makers come in to show their knives, show the capabilities and whatnot. Jimmy Lyle, Black and Collins, Ethan Becker. How do I put this? The average person stands about an 80% chance of doing any damage to an animal with a knife. The average person. Now, I'm not saying a bear can't be killed with a pocket knife, because it's been done. Not saying you can't kill a coyote or a mountain lion or anything like that. What I will say is if you have a knife on you, it's better than fighting with your bare hands. Or a sharpened stick. That's the way it is. And I don't know from personal experience, but from what I've seen in other things, you cut something bad enough, it's running away. So now, the knife for defense. Now, if you're sleeping, then just say a hammock, and all of a sudden somebody grabs a hold of you. They're stealing your kit, they're there to do you harm. Your knife is laying by your side. Have you trained to grab that knife and start the offensive? Or have you trained to grab that knife and be defensive? Have you trained to grab that knife? If somebody scares the crap out of you and you're half asleep in the middle of the night, 90% of us aren't trained to grab a knife. We're trained to yell, we're trained to scream, we're trained to run. Some of us are trained to go on the attack immediately, go on the offensive. That's usually without a knife, that's usually with your hands. That's something you got to think about. A lot of people argue the fact of carrying a three knife system. Tom, what do you mean by a three knife system? Carry a big knife like the TRC or what else I have here? I have a Western 49 Bowie, I have a Marbell's short sword, I have a couple of big knives. They're big, they're clumsy, and they're heavy. I have a big belt knife on all the time if I'm going heavy or going overnight. Most of the time anymore it's by TRC because they carry it here. I can grab them, but not in the middle of the night. Something rips through the side of my tent, I'm worried about getting away from it rather than grabbing a knife and attacking. Okay? I don't know what it is. That's my thoughts on a knife for defense. You're out in public, you start getting attacked, you grab your knife. And then if somebody punches you in the face, you drop your knife. And then he stabs you with their knife. Somebody's meant to do you harm and they're carrying a knife, they're going to run straight up to you and they're just going to start slashing and jabbing. So you're going to take a couple of good hits at least, or a good punch in the face before you even have a chance to get to your weapon. Been in a lot of fights. I'm telling you from experience. I'll give you one example. I was in a local establishment talking to one of the local ladies, let's just say. The local lady didn't tell me she was married. Next thing I know, I got a guy grabbing me by the back of the neck, pounding me in the head. He didn't care where he landed, he was just pounding. He had the better of me. In my pocket was, well, in the holster was a .45 automatic, and in my pocket was a double-edged boot dagger. By the time I had the conscience of mind to grab either one, I was in serious, serious trouble. If it wasn't for the fact that I hit him in the nods and basically snapped his knee out from underneath and put him on the floor, I would have been in serious, serious trouble. But that's how fast the attack happened, and that's how fast I recovered. He had me hit 5 or 6 times, and he was a big guy, before I had a chance to even think. So that, just my 2 cents on that part. Knife for defense, yes, if you see it coming, don't rely on them. So it only takes one drop and you've lost your weapon. Now, the other thing I've heard people complaining about is a very nice young man from Northwest Pennsylvania, out in the bush, and he's got a, I believe it's a 20 gauge Survivor shotgun. What do you do? You're not a bushcrafter. You're carrying a gun. What are you supposed to? What are you afraid of the woods? Let me tell you something. Since I've been a kid in the woods, my dad has always told me, don't go in the woods unless you have a shotgun with you. That's all you use. Shotguns are good for night defense. They're good for day defense. If you're going to use a shotgun, whether it be 2 or 4, they're within range to where, you know, it's lethal. It can be considered a lethal, you know, attack, especially with the game commission. Because you shoot a bear that's attacking you, they're going to put you through the ringer. They're going to take everything you own, and they're probably going to prove you wrong. So now I carry a weapon everywhere I go. It's either a 22, because I want it for food getting, and on my side is my .357 continuously. I carry 3 different loads. I carry shot loads, I carry hardball, and I carry jacketed soft points. Hollow points, I'm sorry. Jacketed soft hollow points. Reason for the 3 loads. Snake shot is just snakes. And 2-leg. Somebody's going to bother me in a camp and I 2-legged, I don't want to kill him. That's retarded. Hit them with the snake shot. They don't like that. And also, you know, there's water snakes. There's snakes on the ground. A few years ago, I'm walking through the woods. Well, many years now. Walking through the woods, trying to look at. And I looked down and I stepped on a copperhead. Now, towards the tail, and when I looked between my legs, he was starting to back up to nail me. Well, you know, Wild Bill Hickok was whang. Luckily, I wear leather boots constantly, and I could feel them pellets, and they marred my boots. They dug in, you know, just under the top edge of the boot, but snake dead, me alive. Primo. One night fishing. We pull in what we thought was an eel, and it turned out to be like a 4-foot water snake. They're not dangerous, but their bite can infect you, and it just scares the bejesus out of you in the middle of the night while you're fishing for eel. Bang. Had a 22 at snake shot at that time. Whether you're carrying a 22 or a .357 or 44, always carry a couple snake shots. But if you get a rabbit close enough, a squirrel close enough, even a grouse, it'll kill a grouse. Now the hardball is for more bear medicine than anything because I want penetration. And the soft hollow points are general purpose. Coyotes, stuff like that. But there's something I didn't mention in the first part of the video. Try taking on a coyote with a knife. You're wrestling with a dog and you're going to get hurt. So, this gentleman that carried the 20 gauge shotgun in the woods, I don't know why people were complaining, because there's other major bushcrafters out there that carry weapons in the woods with them. Dave Canterbury is one. He carries a 410 lever action. Before that, he used to carry a 12 gauge single barrel. Blackie Thomas from over at Shaman's Forge, he carries a 20 gauge single barrel. And he carries a pistol with him. Either or. So I always carry weapons. So the young gentleman that was getting all the guff, you know what? Don't give the guy guff. He knows what he's doing. I'll give you a story that's old enough now to where you don't have to worry about the animals, but 30 years ago, my first wife, Betty, said to me, "Hey, I know this guy, he has lions, and he has a tiger, and he has a leopard." "Where?" "This little town." "Oh, okay." So we go up to see them. The guy says to me, "Yeah, you want to go in the cage?" I'm like, "What, are you nuts?" It's like, "No, I just fed him, you're safe." Okay. Now, this lion came walking over to me, and he had a head bigger than my chest. I mean, it was like, I petted him. I stayed in the cage with him and stuff. The tiger, you couldn't get near. I couldn't, he could. I guess that's the way they are. Same thing with the leopard. The leopard wanted nothing to do with anybody but me. So, okay, so I pet a lion. I'm in the cage with the lion. So, fast forward 6 years. Pennsylvania Game Commission decides that you can't keep exotic pets anymore. The guy calls zoos. Zoos are like, no, we got enough of everything. 2 days before he was going to be leveled with a $100,000 fine for having these pets that 6 months earlier he was allowed to have. He said, "You know what? I can't do this." He moves out of the countryside, opens the door, and lets him loose. So now there's a lion, a leopard, and a tiger running around in areas that, are basically urban. Lots of woods, but there's towns and people. Well, then the sightings started. One guy mentioned that he's seen a lion jump the road. Everybody's laughing at him, and I'm thinking to myself, no, he's probably right. So that's 30 years ago. They're probably dead of old age if they survive. But the fact of the matter is, for as long as they were alive, I didn't go over in that certain section of woods because you didn't know what you were running into. And that's the idea of carrying a weapon. You don't know what you're going to run into. Let's just say you're a believer. You can run into anything from a snake to Sasquatch. I'm a believer. So, carrying a weapon a viable option for us woodsmen? Darn tootin' it is. Woodsmen have been carrying weapons since time began. For everything defense. Animal, human, everything defense. I have run into, twice in my life, homeless people in the woods that I wouldn't have trusted. So, that's just my 2 cents on it. So hey, this is Tom. It's been a long video. I want to thank you for your time and your patience. If you like it, hit the like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the notification button. Hit all. And don't forget to share it out. And we'll see you guys on the next one.